We do a lot of speculation on this channel, and we're going to speculate in this video about Bitcoin price. We're going to talk about and visualize the next move for Bitcoin. Oftentimes, we get it right in terms of the actual targets and confirmation areas that we watch. Sometimes it doesn't always play out perfectly, but we do a lot of speculation. But interwoven throughout the speculation and throughout these videos and throughout all of the visualization exercises we do, there are a lot of consistencies and a lot of data points that remain more sound. And one of them is this. This is one that's happening now. Bitcoin has stopped reacting to bad news. That's a data point. It's something we've seen. We can verify. This is a telltale sign of a strong buyer's market. So what I want to talk about in this video, Bitcoin, it's not so much that it's not reacting to bad news. It's Bitcoin is staying consistent to the cycles in which it has been trading. Bitcoin is staying consistent. The very fact, even as we trade between these two Bitcoin halvings and Bitcoin's doing what it's done in previous halvings, and here's the halving countdown, 330 days, just the fact that that's happening, Bitcoin is so ready for what is next, so ready for this next cycle. I want to talk about that. I want to dig into the charts and discuss. And I also want to talk about this headline about Bank of America. So everybody, please hit that subscribe, hit that like button. Your support really does mean a lot to me. Let's talk about it. Bank of America sees support for Bitcoin rally as personal wallet hoarding increases. Personal wallet hoarding. According to a recently drafted note by analysts from Bank of America, investors are intensifying their efforts to move crypto to personal wallets, which market observers interpret as an indicator of lower sell pressure on Bitcoin. Right now, hit the comments below if you're watching this, if you're anything like me and you've been doing this. Just making sure. Sometimes I leave some crypto on exchanges and I even right now I have some and I need to kind of like deal with that. But it's been a priority for me, more of a priority than maybe recent years. And this is why it's happening. We are realizing more and more every day that we can't trust centralized figures, exchanges, authorities in terms of holding our financial sovereignty in their hands. Just can't do it. And so people are removing their crypto from exchanges, and we're seeing exchanges get shut down or flee to other countries in the US, and that's a big part of it. $368 million worth of the top crypto is transferred to personal wallets. Bank of America strategists Alkesh and Andrew wrote in a note obtained by Bloomberg. Investors transfer tokens from exchange wallets to the personal wallets when they intend to hold them, indicating a potential decrease in sell pressure. More people have become, especially with the failure of the banks, and the trust we're losing in all these huge establishment figures, more people are becoming very interested in cryptocurrency. And this is what we're seeing. And more people are moving their crypto into their personal wallets. And that is decreasing sell pressure. And so we have the timing of this happening at it couldn't be any more perfect as far as Bitcoin cycles go. And yes, we do zoom in on the charts a lot and we talk about the next move for Bitcoin because it's important when we're actually trying to decipher the next move for Bitcoin on the macro to understand downside and upside within these macro pivots from bear market to bull market. I think it's important to understand what's going on and what to anticipate on the shorter term. So let's do that right now. Let's talk about targets for Bitcoin. And I actually want to start real quick from a video, a very quick clip from yesterday. Check this out. We want to see separation and cushion for Bitcoin to fall and test these areas. And these are really higher low areas. So that area right now, the apex area, right? So we're talking about this apex area. Bitcoin broke out, right? Where we were looking at the current consolidation and it's played out. I mean, this consolidation it's been sideways. We're talking about the throwback. This happens so often in terms of Bitcoin and other cryptos. The throwback to the apex, the throwback to the breakout trend line. Right now for Bitcoin, it's around 80. It's 28,000 to around 28,500. This move is in play. And the question on the short term is just, I ask myself, am I ready for that? And from a macro perspective, I'm more of a macro investor. I'm very ready for that. I mean, that's not a big move at all. But the mental aspect of it, when there is a move to the downside, you start seeing big red candles on the zoomed in. It's something to mentally be prepared for. That's a target in play. What I want to talk about, though, isn't even so much downside targets. There is an upside target continuation for Bitcoin to around $31,000 to $32,000. That's the target out of this pattern. So Bitcoin might consolidate sideways and continue to the upside. But what I really want to show you is what I was just looking at in the 4 hour. This is a 4 hour zoomed in chart. And this is what really is something we should pay attention to often, whether it's a 4 hour or a weekly chart, the momentum of Bitcoin. It so often gives us such a big clue into the next move for Bitcoin, whether on the short term or the long term. So from a very obvious perspective, Bitcoin on the 4-hour, overbought territory, right? What happens when Bitcoin gets here? It consolidates. Overbought territory. It consolidates on the momentum oscillator, right? Here's one. It consolidates on the momentum oscillator before continuing to the next leg up. So I think for me, it's reasonable and it's safe to just anticipate consolidation to the downside, a throwback to the downside. For Bitcoin on the 4-hour RSI, it looks like this, cooling down on the RSI. What I want to point out though is this. Bitcoin does have these cool downs on the 4-hour, right? And you can even actually see this. And this actually sets up for Bitcoin to not even cool down that much on the price and actually continue to the upside. We have overbought. Bitcoin just cooled down very briefly on this chart. And you can see the dip and then a nice explosive move to the upside while there's the momentum oscillator retracing, consolidating. So that is in play for Bitcoin right now. And what that looks like from a price perspective is this. And this is a bullish case for Bitcoin, even if it happens. Bitcoin to the downside, 5% maybe falls to the lower end of the triangle setup, 8%, 5 to 8% to the downside. And Bitcoin is just doing what it normally does from a technical analysis structure point of view. And that is it's consolidating. But what is so important about this is if we go to the daily chart, Bitcoin, as we know, is getting that overextension, separation from the 20-day, very extended, overextended from the 50-day. So a pullback is also important and warranted for Bitcoin as well from a technical analysis perspective. It happens all of the times, all of the time. What I want to do is I want to zoom out. I want to go back to the last bull market and just show you Bitcoin, even in this upward trend that it was in for the entirety of the last bull market, it pulls back to the moving averages or even just gets pulled into it a little bit, right? The 50, the 20-day moving averages, they're such a good gauge for Bitcoin to cool off. When we start seeing Bitcoin get any type of separation from those areas, it's a good idea, I think, to start watching for the consolidation into those moving averages. And right now for Bitcoin, it's a very confluent area around 28,000 to 28,500 for Bitcoin to cool down. It could be sideways. Bitcoin could trade sideways for days again, or something similar to this last consolidation pattern before making a move to the upside. I want to say this. If we zoom out on the chart, we have the $40,000 target. It's still there. We broke out of this upper trend line. And right now, we're just talking about small moves on the shorter term. It could be a throwback to this entire vicinity on the shorter term before continuing to the upside. All of that allows for Bitcoin to cool off on the momentum oscillator. And if we go to the weekly chart, it allows for Bitcoin to kind of see this 20-week moving average officially cross the 50-week as Bitcoin is just cooling off, consolidating, getting ready for the next leg up. The most important, especially if you're a macro person like me, as we zoom all the way out from that 4-hour, is to say there is a ton of room for upside for Bitcoin on the slower moving momentum oscillator on the weekly chart. And to give you an idea of that, you see where Bitcoin is right now on this momentum oscillator? Well, we scroll back and we look at, hey, before that last bull run, where was Bitcoin? It was right there, right? Short consolidation into 20-week moving average, bull run, right? So maybe we get something similar, short consolidation, 20-week moving average, bull run. So that's in play. All of these things are in play, everybody. But what we do at the end of the day, it's just all about zooming in and tracking it step by step, day by day. This is the move to the downside, the very short term that I'd be anticipating, and I wanted to talk about it. But I think what really matters is the data that is woven throughout the story. And it is Bitcoin has stopped reacting to bad news for the most part. That's not guaranteed to stay the same truth every single day throughout the cycle. But right now, that's seemingly what's happening right now. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, everybody. I appreciate you for watching. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.